Okay, we're here. We're unmuted.
Are we?
Yes. It should be.
Have
People
you
should.
Guys,
If I
you
can
guys
do
both
a.
heard the death of Slim Shady?
No,
Important.
I have not.
Huh? What?
Eminem's new album.
I haven't cared about anything Eminem since 2006.
Leave the podcast right now.
But dude, they
Why?
brought back the crispy ones like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Guys, you just need to shut it. You just need to shut up and stop playing these stupid games that my middle school bully would play with me.
What
No,
are
not
those
having
games? What are those games? Pretend you know about Eminem
Oh,
games?
what does Nookie mean? And then tell them, like, oh no, it means sugar cookie, you pervert. And then,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, hey, do you like Eminem? Like, yeah, no, I like Eminem, as I'm listening to his unedited album that I was able to sneak by my parents. And at the times, like, only losers like M&Ms. Skittles are better. And I'm like, yeah, taste the rainbow. It was late 90s, so it was the late 90s, so that insult worked. So,
It did. Oh, it actually, like, it probably landed really hard.
it
Cried.
did.
He still cries about it. I can tell.
Yeah.
I got shoved into the locker for that one. I got shoved into
I keep forgetting I have sunburn, and it hurts.
Oh no, awful.
I'll have to show you some of it after the show. Yeah.
The fact that it's not on your face, I think, is what worries me the most.
Yeah. Let's get into the show, shall we?
Do it.
Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan,
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
and today we're going to be continuing Devin's series of making us watch all of the James Bond movies because there's no podcast dedicated to that yet.
Let's talk.
Yeah, we'll talk because I may have done some research. But today we're going to talk about From Russia with Love, the second film in the James Bond franchise. Before we do that, we like to talk about things that are happening in pop culture, things that we've watched over the last week. And I wanted to start off today talking about two things that are recent in pop culture, first of which being the Emmy nominations came out today. So I thought I'd get your guys' reaction to some of these. Just starting off by talking about what got nominated, who got the most nominations. We talked a bit last week about, I think it was last week, we talked about The Bear.
Yeah.
The Bear has 23 nominations, a comedy series record. We'll go through and say what they are then here in a second. Hulu's Only Murders in the Building. Let's go. 21 nominations. In True Detective Night Country had 19 nominations, with The Crown front on Netflix having 18. Have you guys watched the new True Detective?
I have. It's really
No.
good.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've only
Really good.
seen the Woody Harrelson, Matthew McConaughey season, like the first season of True Detective, and have had no interest to go watch any of the other ones. But
I heard that we should never expect the high of that season ever again.
yeah,
But the one that I watched, the one that got nominated, was pretty good.
do you know Woody Harrelson has a podcast now?
No, he does not.
Him and Ted Danson have a
Yeah, he
podcast. Devin, I want you to take a guess and tell me what you think Ted Danson and Woody Harrelson's podcast is called.
What? Oh God, they gotta use his name in some punny way. I bet. It's
No,
probably like,
no,
No?
you're not thinking correctly.
Cheers.
It's a Cheers thing.
It's a Cheers thing. Okay,
It's a Cheers
I'm
thing.
closer.
Yes.
Is it where everyone knows your name?
Yep.
No, oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Yes! Guys, think harder. If Devin got
Yeah.
it, come on. Now.
Yeah, with Ted Danson and Woody Harrelson sometimes. I listen to that.
Sometimes.
Yeah, he's not always there. What they do is they bring in people that they've met since Cheers and like interview them. So like, Ted Danson brought in Kristen Bell.
Aw.
I don't know who Woody Harrelson's brought in yet because it seems like Ted Danson's just bringing all the people so far.
It seems like Ted Danson's like
Yeah.
like owning the podcast or carrying
Yeah.
the podcast, and like
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson saunters in every once in a while.
The Conan one was good. They
Was
did-
it?
Yeah, and they were on Conan's podcast to talk about it too. We'll talk about Conan later.
Okay.
Anyway, let's talk about Emmy nominations. So The
Yes.
Bear. So best drama series, we had The Crown, Fallout, The Gilded Age, The Morning Show, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Shogun, Slow Horses, and The Three Body Problem. Have you guys seen any of those shows?
Fallout.
Fallout?
I'm actually kind of mad at these categories because I saw that Fallout's on there, and I see that The Bear is in comedy, and I almost want to switch them.
Yeah. It's more... It's how the show's presented, I think. It's more of the like half-hour category. I've watched the first season of The Bear. It's definitely I can see why it's a comedy. It's definitely not super drama, but I can see why it's a comedy. It's like in between because there's the lighter moments.
Yeah.
I've been disappointed in there as a premise since like day one, because I was really hoping that the show was going to be about an actual bear that opened a restaurant, and it's not a guy in a bear suit running, everything. And so I'm just lost on it. I want an adult like show, but it's like, was it Somebody's Castle, where you've got like the little girl puppet and then the big bear puppet. I think it was Sabrina's Castle. I think it was. I think like that, but like that character from that show, the bear, as bear character in that show.
So you want Bear from the Big Blue House to open a restaurant?
But I want it to be the same premise and tone and language used in the show that has been running. So like, like little kid characters, but as an adult show. And they do, like real world things that adults have to deal with every day in like a little kid manner with adult language.
So I've only seen the first season, but just seeing Bear from Bear in the Big Blue House making Ecto Cooler and then drugging a bunch of kids with it. In the comedy category, the series nominations were Abbott Elementary, The Bear, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Hacks, Only Murders in the Building, Palm Royale, Reservation Dogs, and What We Do in the Shadows.
So this is why I'm mad at this category for The Bear being there, because I love The Bear and want it to win, but Only Murders and What We Do in the Shadows are on there, and now I want them to have a three-way tie.
Not gonna happen.
Only Murders, like, being the second highest nominated show, I'm happy with. Like,
it's such a good series.
It's such a good series. I cannot wait for the new season next month. But like even like Paul Rudd got nominated for Only Murders for guest star.
Good for him.
But yeah, I forgot that the Emmys got pushed back to January, so we're gonna actually get two Emmy ceremonies this year because we had last year's in January this year, and then the next one will be in September. So,
does anything stand out for you, Alan? Anything between those that you're like, I want that to win?
No, like I'm sure The Bear will win a lot of them because that seems to be the big one. I'm upset that I read the nominations though, because when you get to guest star, it like spoils The Bear and who shows up. Like I knew John Barenthal shows up. I did not know Bob Odenkirk was in it. I didn't know Will Poulter was in it. I didn't know Jamie Lee Curtis was in it or Olivia Colman.
Oh my gosh, Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis.
Please tell me they play themselves.
No, but also yes, but no. Basically, it's all his extended family, and it's so good.
Okay.
You have, Alan, a masterpiece of an episode coming up. You really do.
Yeah, I had to. I can't just binge this show because exactly what I thought would happen when I watched it happened. And I was like, yeah, I can't. Yeah, I was like, no. But
there's an episode in this most recent season where afterwards I'm like, I need a drink. That was a lot.
Yeah. I don't know how you want me to respond to that.
It was It's an intense show. It's very cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, going from something everyone seems to love to something people don't seem to love. Let's talk about no, not that. Did I not pull the poster? I thought I pulled a poster. Oh. I wanted to talk about The Acolyte, but I didn't pull the poster. Give me 1 second here. I transitioned it and it was like shrinking. I was like, nope, that's not what I wanted.
While you're doing that, Ryan, have you seen any of the shows that we talked about?
Nope. Well, I
Nope.
mean Fallout. Sorry. I'm so geared on saying no because I don't watch shows a lot, but I have seen Fallout. I like.
Do you think
Fallout.
it deserves a win?
I'm sure there's better. I'm sure there's better shows nominated. So if it doesn't win anything,
I-
I'll be.
I need to complain for a second, 'cause we haven't talked about this on the show. We've talked about my setup, right?
Yeah.
Where I have the projector downstairs, and that's how I watch most things.
Mhm.
I bought a new TV. It's a 4K TV.
Oh.
I had just been using the apps built into the TV, and they don't look the greatest. Like Disney Plus looks weird. Like The Acolyte does not look good on the built-in TV app. So I brought my 4K Apple TV upstairs because that's what I've been using on my 1080 projector. Plugged it in.
Mhm.
So much better. So much
wow.
better. That's how I started watching The Bear. The frame rate's weird, and that took me some getting used to for The Bear, but I'll figure it out.
Is the frame rate faster than what you're used to?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like
Yeah.
way smoother.
Yeah.
I'm not usually one of those people that can tell about frame rate until it is above 60, and I go, oh, this is
Yeah.
something.
I think that's just the show. I don't think it's my settings. I think it's just the show, because everything else I've watched, one of the apps I do like on my TV, it's a Vizio TV, so it has the watch free stuff. They have a channel that just plays Power Rangers all the time. I spent all day Monday morning watching Power Rangers in space,
That's incredible.
because that's the last series I watched before I fell out, and I never actually saw the ending of it where they actually find Zordon, and I was like, man, I am sucked into this. This is
back in?
ridiculous. I'm back in, baby. Let's go.
You are the
Um,
reason they have that channel. They made
I
it
am.
for you.
Is that the Power Rangers in space? Is that the one where it's they're soldiers and they're wearing the Starship
No,
Trooper at the beginning of the season?
that's Lost Galaxy. That's the season afterwards. When I
That's
came
Lost
back,
Galaxy.
when I came
Okay.
back from running errands and stuff, it was into Lost Galaxy. Damn, I missed the
Yeah.
episodes I needed to see. So now I've got to go back and find them. But yeah, they were just running through all of Power Rangers evidently, because I Sunday I was watching a little bit of Power Rangers Turbo. I was like, this is not good. This is really.
That's the train one, right?
No, it's the car one.
Car one.
Yeah, because it was the later half of the series where
Turbo.
they changed the cast out. So yeah, and
Power Rangers.
it's still the only one who stays is the kid who turns into the Blue Ranger, who just turns into an adult for no reason. I'm on a tangent. Let's talk about Star Wars. The Acolyte had its season finale last night. Ryan and I are caught up. Devin, you are not. Are you? Did you watch last week's episode?
2 episodes behind.
2 episodes behind. Okay. Ryan, what did you think of The Acolyte at first season?
As a singular piece, I enjoy it. There are things I like. There are things I really, really like, and there are things that I'm just I'll overlook it. But it's good. I mean, it's not bad. I like what they do. There are things that I haven't seen get brought up visually before that they've done that I really like. In fact, I don't normally go to my wife and tell her, hey, they did this in Star Wars, but I did, and I instantly got the face of I'm only listening to you because I read to you and I love you, but I don't really care. And
Yeah.
and that's when I was like, okay, I'll wrap this up and I'll let you rest. I'll let you-
What? I'm curious. What did you tell her they did in Star Wars?
So the biggest one has to do with a lightsaber crystal.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
That made me like flip. I was so excited when I saw that.
Part of me was expecting you to say, so they used a rap song in the end credits of Star Wars.
Wait, did they?
Yeah, it's like a hip hop song. It's a choice. It's a weird one, but it works. It worked for me.
Okay.
It fits. Yeah.
It fits.
Was it Eminem's Venom?
No, it was I'm Slim Shady.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It works though. It fits. It
Yeah.
fits.
Um,
Guys, come on. Was it good? Like, yes or no? Like,
I enjoyed it. So what
Okay.
what I appreciate about the show, and what I think a lot of people had trouble with, is that it breaks the linear storytelling that Star Wars usually does in these shows. Where you have the Mandalorian doing like the chapters, where each one's a different adventure, and then Ahsoka's like typical storyline, like characters from A to B to C. This one plays with time a little bit, so like you have the episodes playing off of each other. And one of the things that they do, like Devin, the next episode you have to watch plays off of the flashback episodes where you got to see Osha and May's backstory. It gives you a whole different point of view on that. It kind of shows you that point of view, that story from the point of view of the Jedi. So I think storytelling wise, it does some very interesting things with the narrative of changing things up and how the story is told, because you have the dichotomy of these different themes in each episode, or the sets of episodes, because that's how they title each of them up until the finale. And then they do some cool stuff that I've never seen in Star Wars. There's some things that are mentioned from the expanded universe that are Easter egged in there. Like they talk, I'm not going to spoil that. There might be some cameos in the finale.
Is there? Is it shoehorned? Is it not a good cameo?
I think it's a good. I think they are good cameos.
Okay.
Because I can confirm too. I have suspicions about a third. So.
Ryan, are you picking what he's putting down?
Oh, right.
Oh, it's his mic. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, while he fixes that, so I remember earlier you were.
There we go.
Nice. Did you catch the cameos that Alan's talking about?
I mean, the cameos are pretty obvious, but if you couldn't tell from my answer from before, yes, Devin, I liked it.
Okay.
What were you asking, Devin?
You had both said, I know where it's going because you both, understand, media literacy. You understand the story it's trying to tell. You let the series give room to breathe. Did it go where you both thought it was going to go?
To a degree, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
To a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
saving some for the second season.
Yes, they're saving a lot for the second season, and those cameos kind of show it.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. I kind of want to spoil the one, but I don't want to.
Just do it. What?
Devin.
Do it. I don't care. Yeah.
Devin, have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Oh, I was hoping he would show up. That makes me so happy.
Yeah. Don't get too excited. It's not much.
Oh, okay.
But he's there.
I'm mad. Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's enough reason for me to want to watch that.
Yeah.
I have been prioritizing the bear over that lately.
I will say this. If you're a Star Wars fan and have seen all of the hate about the Acolyte and haven't watched it, I would recommend watching the show beginning to end, because I think it's worth it at the end, because it does set up some interesting things for a second season. I hope Disney doesn't backtrack and not do a second season because of how the reaction's been to the show. So,
and that like, if you go back, almost everything that they've done in this show has been brought up in some way in the expanded universe that used to be, the old school canon, and from the movies. Like, except for maybe one thing that I would argue, everything is solid. The problem is that people were watching these episodes and freaking out after every single one, reacting like that was the end of the show. And oh my God, how could they do this and leave this open? It's like, wait, there's 4 more episodes left. and that's
More
the
are
case. Like, they do a lot of wrapping up, and like, it still fits within the Star Wars universe. There's not one thing that is drastically taking away from anything that's already established, except
Yeah.
for one thing, and I overlooked that. For one thing.
I heard inklings that there was a problem with like the setup of Osha and May's like backstory, like the little like place that they're in, the convent or coven or whatever. I heard that there were inklings that people didn't like that there was like force witches.
Force
But, like,
switches have been a thing
They're
Yeah.
always a thing.
like 15 years.
Well, that was my reaction. I was like,
Yeah.
that's not new territory. But
Yeah, like we just
Yeah.
had some in Ahsoka, but they've been in the Clone Wars since before
Yeah.
that. And I'm pretty
were
sure
in
they
the
were.
video
Yeah.
game.
I was gonna say they were in a bunch of games and like expanded universe stuff before that. So
I mean, I
Yeah.
was so
Not to-
skeptical to watch this, but I love what I've seen.
not to mention, like, if you're gonna get upset about there being space witches in Star Wars, like, what do you think the Jedi's are?
Just space
Like,
wizards.
Space
Wizards.
wizards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just, and one thing I like about Ahsoka that it does, and this is something that I've always wanted from a lot of different like properties. This will be the last thing I'll say on it. It's taking aspects from books, and they're drawing information and things out of it and creating their own story using it. It's the way I think book adaptions should be. It's a movie. It's a different type of medium for entertainment. You're going to make a movie off a book. You take aspects of the book and you create your own story using those aspects and make that world. Because personally, the last thing I want to see, which a lot of the complainers want to see, I don't want to see movies rehashing that like Luke and his marriage and their kids and all of the like hardcore established like book timeline. I don't want to see that verbatim on the screen. It's already been done in book form. Give me something different. So yeah. Anyway, next topic.
I like it. I love it.
Next topic. I think we talked about this before on the show, but I wanted to bring it up again. I've recently finished Shrinking, the Jason Segel, Harrison Ford show from the creators of Ted Lasso. I had started the show and then just fell off of it, and then I was like, you know what? I want to finish that show. I know I don't have many left, guys. The fact that Harrison Ford wasn't nominated for an Emmy for this last year is shocking.
Does it get really good? I've seen one episode.
He's fantastic in it. I think the show is solid all around. I'm very excited for the second season because it got to the point in the finale. I was like, they're not gonna do what I think they're gonna do, and then they did it. I was like, oh, okay then. But I think Harrison Ford's great. Jason Segel, I think, has always been fantastic, and he carries the show very well. But it's just the writing of the show, and it's just so good. Like I can't recommend this enough. If you haven't seen it yet, if you like Ted Lasso and are missing that show, this is definitely up there. Highly recommend it.
I did the same thing you did. I watched like the first couple episodes, and then just like stopped. But like for no real reason. Like, not that I didn't like it or anything. Like, TV's just hard for me to watch, and I should keep going with it, especially with that kind of a recommendation.
Yeah, it's very good. It's like Ted Lasso gets a lot of recognition, but there's some good stuff on Apple TV Plus that's not Ted Lasso. This is the only other thing that I've watched, but there's some other good stuff on there.
The trailer for Severance season 2, finally.
So yeah, it comes out in January.
Love it. I love that show. I will. I think it's the best thing Apple TV's done.
I don't know. It's good. Like they've definitely, like, if I had to, like, that's definitely my top 3 of their shows, being that I've seen 4 of their shows. Sorry, Eugene Levy, but your travel show doesn't make the cut.
No, it's fun.
It's fun.
Very fun.
That's the hotel room? Like,
Just that for every episode.
yeah.
Exactly.
That's all it is. On Apple TV Plus. Yeah. I don't break out the Eugene Levy impression that often. So
I'm glad you did that.
yeah. we'll just tell your mother we ate the whole thing. Uh, on that note, we're going to talk about the second entry into the James Bond franchise, From Russia with Love, signed Devin Struthers. Devin, take it away.
So, today we're talking about From Russia with Love, the 1963, as you mentioned, second James Bond movie directed by Terrence Young, starring Sean Connery, Robert Shaw, and Lola Lena. This movie was double the budget of the last the last James Bond movie that we had seen, Dr. No, and absolutely raked it in. This is one of people's favorite James Bond movies. Literally considered one of the best entries even to this day. I want to hear your guys' background with this movie. Have you seen it? Did you know that this was the second movie? Is this your first time seeing it? Tell me all about it, starting with Ryan.
So I have seen it before.
Okay.
I've only seen it like once. It was on like a James Bond marathon on like USA or TNT or something like that in like the late 90s, early millennium. I don't really remember when. But I remember seeing it. It's good. I like it. I think because I haven't seen it a lot and I forgot most of it, I don't really hit high like my personal favorites because I've got more nostalgia connected to like I think Pierce Brosnan. Did I get the name right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I have more nostalgia connected to his James Bond movies than I do like the early ones. But I have to say, from like the other James Bond movies, early James Bond movies that I remember,
Mm-hmm.
that I can remember parts of, this one does definitely rank high on like good. Like I like it. I can see why it's got the reputation that it does.
Yeah,
So.
that's fair. Alan, what's your history with this one?
I've never seen this one. There are only a few of the Connery Bonds that I had seen. This was not one of them. It is now.
Fair.
So I knew the song. That was about it.
Okay. Okay. So then, having seen it now for the first time, what did you think?
I liked it.
Yeah.
It watching it, like, I'm in such a weird place with these James Bond movies, especially these early 60s ones, because like I can't look at them and not be like, oh, that's where Austin Powers got it from, especially with this one, because there were just things in here I'm like, oh, okay, this is where they got that, like Sylvia, like
Yep.
that's Frau for Brinson. It's like, yeah, like this is just the groundwork for Mike Myers to make those movies in the 90s. So it's hard for me to take them seriously. But it's an interesting second entry into the franchise because I know this is where they introduced Spectre and all of that. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
I mean, it is so. To give the history on this one, I've seen this movie maybe twice in my past. I can't have gotten to the age of 34 and not had my dad at least sit me down a couple of times to watch this movie, which is what I watched it. Being a younger person, I didn't appreciate what the movie was doing almost at all, and mostly because like Brosnan was, to your point, Ryan, he was my first James Bond, and this movie compared to a Brosnan film are like night and day different. They're not as slow, they're not as contemplative. There's definitely a style to the 60s kind of spy thriller that this is. And I didn't appreciate it nearly as much as I did on this watch through. I really dug this movie on this watch through. Like I knew that it was like coming up and I was like, all right, we'll do it. It'll be a movie we'll get through. But I'm like, no. I really enjoy this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. You finish your thought. I thought you were done.
No, I was, yeah.
Okay. That was kind of my experience with it. I remembered bits and pieces. I did not remember the actual plot or like what they were trying to do. And honestly, it kind of reminded me of Some of All Fears, that failed Jack Ryan movie with Ben Affleck that I
Yeah.
really enjoy. Um, the whole thing of like, someone's in the middle trying to pit the two big superpowers against each other. Like I enjoyed that storyline a lot more than what I thought this was as a kid, which I don't even remember what I thought this was as a kid or a teenager. But yeah, no, it definitely has a decent plot and storyline for, considering there's a lot of like cynical take James Bond movies nowadays, especially the older ones. So this is definitely it was above my expectations.
I mean, that's good. That's probably about as good as you could actually ask for. What did you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask this question to both of you. Pick another director for this movie, but don't really change the movie at all. Who would you guys pick? And the only reason I'm asking both of you is because it's a director that we've deep dived into on this podcast.
Another director?
Yeah. So pretend, for example, that Terrence Young isn't available and they have to go with someone else.
They wanted Hitchcock?
They wanted Hitchcock. That was one of the big things about this one, is he had actually been considered to direct it, and he wanted Cary Grant and Grace Kelly to be the two in this. And then he became unavailable.
So, I totally thought you were going somewhere else with this. I was like,
What'd you think?
what nowadays would I go back and do? And I was just gonna swing for the fences and say Shane Black. and say Shane Black.
I would love to see a
That would be
Shane Black
incredible.
James Bond movie. So what were they going to have Hitchcock? What would Hitchcock have brought to this? That because like compared to like Doctor No, this does like the train stuff does feel like it could be more of like a Hitchcockian type thing.
It's a lot of the train stuff. The helicopter chase scene at the end was a direct homage to North by
Oh
Northwest.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, that part, that was, I mean, I at that time was like, what order did those movies come out
Yeah.
in? I need to check
I
this.
was going to say, Devin, you don't need to tell me that. I figured that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something that I need to say about that helicopter scene. No, I really highly doubt. I mean, it was the early 60s, Sean Connery being who he is, so I would not be surprised if he did his own stunts. But someone at least 3 people came really close to dying filming some of those scenes.
Yeah.
Like, there's a scene where, like, the helicopter comes down low and the camera's in the front bubble, and whoever it was, either Sean Connery or the body double, falls down on the grass and turns over, and that is legit terror on their face. Like, oh my god, that thing got way too close to whoever that was on the ground.
So that was a slightly inexperienced pilot, and that was Sean Connery, and it did get way too close. That is one of the facts I found out about this movie, is he almost got hurt doing that stunt. All right, so let's talk about the set of the movie, because that's actually one of the things that I think is most interesting about this one. This is one of the James Bond movies where, unlike nowadays, the world isn't in danger, right? All this is about is the British intelligence, MI6, wants to get a cipher machine from the Russians. That's really it. Spectre's behind the scenes pulling strings against these two major superpowers. This came out in the middle of the Cold War. The book came out in the middle of the Cold War. In fact, this is John F. Kennedy's favorite book, or it was one of his favorite books. So Ian Fleming didn't think it was appropriate to make Russians the bad guys. So they wanted to make Spectre the bad guys, playing off the two superpowers. But what'd you think?
Pop quiz.
Yeah.
What does Spectre stand for?
Without
Sphincter.
looking it up, I can't tell you.
Without looking it up. Ryan, do you want to take a guess?
They say it too. They say it in the new one.
Throwing blanks in my dyslexic mind of how it's spelled at the moment without looking at it.
It's an anagram.
It is.
But that doesn't help you, because one of the two of the letters are one word.
No, It's one of those anagrams that kills me because you know they're working backwards from the anagram.
Yeah.
Like they're like, it would be cool to have an organization called Spectre. How do we make it fit words?
Yeah.
What is it?
Special Executive for Counterintelligence, Terrorism, Revenge, and Extortion.
Great.
Yeah.
I was not going to come up with that.
Nope.
Oh, yeah, that is like one of the acronyms that actually does kind of make me mad. But like you guys had said, this is the very first time that we get to see Blofeld at all in a movie, who appears in quite a few of them. What did you guys think of Blofeld in this with his stereotypic white cat petting?
You mean Dr. Claw? How could you catch it?
Right. I mean, this character is iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's in every Sunday. There's at least one bad guy in every Saturday morning, Sunday morning cartoon that had it. At least one. It was funny to see because I forgot how early he was introduced.
Yeah.
And for it to be the
too.
second movie is great. I mean, it is. I completely forgot that he was like, you know, the big thing on it. What I did like about it is that he referenced Dr. No.
Yeah.
He was like, our operative Dr. No, you know, like, you know, blah, 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 blah. Like, they mentioned him. I was happy about that because they were trying to show, like, this is after. Like, this is a sequel. So that was cool to see.
What's the thing is, I watched these movies originally all out of order. They were just like, whatever one my dad wanted to show me at the time was the thing I watched. And like those references sailed way over my head. So like seeing that there's this like long running plot, I thought was incredible. But anyway, back to my original question. What did you guys think about a smaller scale plot for a Bond movie? World wasn't in danger. All we have to do is steal a Lecter device.
I liked it. Like I like the small MacGuffin stuff. Like I think that's why I like Mission Impossible 3. Is like it's the rabbit's foot. Like the smaller thing. There are higher stakes, but it's just like that one small thing. Mm-hmm. Like I'm okay with that because it's like that's actual spy stuff. It's not always going to be, oh, they're pointing all of the nukes at Oklahoma. We need to stop them from blowing up Oklahoma. Like,
good plot.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. So like, this is, I forget who said it. There's some actor who's older. His dad, who was an actor in like spaghetti westerns, and he remembers his dad coming up with the term like plumber actor. You know, like someone who gets up, goes to work, acts, goes home. Like acting is their like bread and butter type, you know, like thing. Mm-hmm. I feel like this was like a look into James Bond's like 9 to 5. Like this is what he normally does.
Yeah.
He tries to get like ciphers and he tries to get paperwork and he has to meet up with other spies to, you know, like share intel, and then he goes back to Britain. Like this is James Bond doing his normal 9 to 5 stuff. It isn't like, you know, like Thunderball.
Oh, we'll get to Thunderball, don't you worry.
Oh, I love Thunderball.
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Yeah, I think you're right, and I think for me that grounds the movie a little bit, and I think that's why it makes me feel like a little bit more North by Northwest, where like it's a little bit more intrigue, it's a little bit more figuring out who's on whose side doing what, and a lot less, I have to stop this bomb, let me Tom Cruise run at it. And I kind of really like that. What did you guys think of, so we got to talk Bond tropes, because we're going to talk Bond a lot, and I want to bring up the tropes in just about everything. Intro sequence. This is the first time we get a proper Bond intro sequence now. It's still not Sean Connery turning to shoot. It's still the stunt double. But then afterwards, we get proper intro sequence. What did you guys think? So for those of you that are listening to us, Ryan is violently shaking. My take on it is it ties to the plot. I understand. I don't love that part of the movie, to be fair. I don't know that it adds much other than like another thing for James Bond to do. It sets a tone for future ones, but this isn't my favorite intro sequence.
I mean, you've got to start somewhere. It's the very, very early 1960s.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Like, it is what it is. You just have to have, like, a understanding of just cultural history
Yeah.
to get it. Um, is it bad taste nowadays for something to be done? Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I said what I said. Cultural, historical understanding.
Fair.
Yeah.
Going back to the intro thing, like, it was weird that they don't sing the song in the opening.
Yeah. Yeah. They sing in the end credits this time.
Well, and it's on the radio at one point.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it? I forgot
Which
about that.
which is kind of funny because
Right.
then he signs the thing from Russia with love, like
Yeah,
it's
he does. That's
Yeah.
right. It's just the most like in universe that it gets.
like I really wish that it got to the point where Pierce Brosnan was like, uh, I'm gonna die another day,
Wait, no.
And then he's
It's
just-
not enough. He says that.
oh yeah,
Yeah, he does. It's on his family's grave.
but does he listen to Madonna? Like imagine how much better Die Another Day would be if like he was just driving on the ice with Halle Berry and Madonna was on the radio.
It wouldn't hurt the movie. I'll
No.
tell you that. It wouldn't make it worse.
It wouldn't. I don't think anything could make that movie worse.
Gosh, I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah.
Other thing this movie brings up is the very first appearance of Desmond Llewellyn as Q, which I absolutely love. He is Q
Yes.
for 17 movies, including this one. He is my Q. Sorry, John Cleese. You're incredible. Desmond Llewellyn has my heart. Anything notable about him for you guys? He doesn't do much in this, to be fair.
I was gonna say, what I noticed about him was his lack of gray hair. The fact that he actually was standing up perfectly straight, as opposed of like doing the like I'm in my late 60s and 70s, and it's the 1980s and 90s, and I've got arthritis stance. And I love how basic this stuff starts out being. Like, it's just a briefcase that's got like gold coins lined in the bottom, a knife that shoots out the side, extra bullets. Like, okay, that's going to be really helpful in a high pressure situation.
Yeah.
They don't even fire out of it. That's
Nope.
kind of lame. But yeah, and then you've got what he actually uses.
Yeah.
I like the watch with the thing, the like wire that comes out.
Oh yeah, with the
Because
Garrett.
the project I'm working on, we have something like that in the movie.
Oh, that's fun.
Because it's kind of a spy thing. So
Oh, is it kind of a spy thing?
yeah,
Oh,
and by kind of it's a spy film. Like
Oh.
that's all I can say about it because I haven't read the script. I do this thing where I work on films. I just don't read the script. I just show up.
Hey, I mean, you're not scripty, so you're good, man,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So
Next trope we have to talk about is we can't really talk about Bonneville in this one. She doesn't get much screen time, but henchmen we certainly need to talk about. Guys, how is it seeing Robert Shaw not on a boat?
okay, I need to talk about this for a second because I saw the name Robert Shaw in the credits. Like, I know that name.
Yeah.
Why do I know that name? And it wasn't. I was like, I'm looking at him. I was like, I know that guy. Why do I know that guy?
Yeah.
And then it took for me to listening to the podcast I listened to
God.
outside of this to be like, no shit, that's Quinn from Jaws? Like, my swim trunks are Jaws. They have sharks on them. And I was like, I didn't recognize Quinn?
He looks very different.
It's the blonde hair.
I just looked it up. Like, I
did
literally
you?
just looked it up right now, and I got it.
Oh,
Holy hell.
honestly, I love him in this movie. I mean, to be fair, I did some trivia hunting. This is what got him Jaws. Steven Spielberg saw this and loved him in it. I love him in this. I was not expecting, based on the cold open where he's like the strong silent type, the like luscious British accent that comes out of him on the train. but I think he does such a good job of being such an imposing presence in the entire film. Like, I think he's great.
Yeah. Same. Same.
Yeah.
I definitely thought so. The lamest scene in this movie, or the most like outdated thing done in this movie, for me anyway, personally,
Mhm.
involves him. So like he's getting, it's like he's been brainwashed. He's pretty much like being treated like a stallion in a stable on a farm, and he has company down by the lake, and they're letting
Oh.
him have his company. And like she interrupts that. The henchman comes and like interrupts that, and they have him stand at attention for her to look him over like you would like a horse or something. And she puts these like brass knuckles on her fist and does literally the worst punch I've ever seen in a movie onto his abdomen that he doesn't even flinch to. I know that's the point. Like, he's supposed to not react to it. And she goes, "He's good. This'll work." And she walks away. And I'm like, they could pass test with how lame of a punch that was. Like, they couldn't even, like, speed up the film for, like, the split second she threw the punch for. Like, it's the early 60s. They could have gotten away with that. And it would have been fine.
But no, they had and the thing is, they do speed up even in this movie during some of the fight scenes. They do speed up the film. Like, they could have done it there.
Yeah, like it was like I literally laughed at that part because it was just so like no one was on set and told the director, "Hey, we might want to do that again with a little bit more direction." Like,
Nope. They're like, we're keeping it. We're good. Oh,
Oh.
I found out that train sequence, that fight sequence on the train, that took 3 weeks to film. Incredible.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that involved. Apparently, most of the time it was Robert Shaw and Sean Connery doing the stunts too, which just makes me like them a lot more.
It took them 2 months to film the train scene in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
What?
Yeah. Daniel Radcliffe just kept eating the chocolate frogs.
Is that real?
No.
Okay, I wouldn't be surprised, to be entirely fair.
It was Prisoner of Azkaban. The Dementors would not come out of their trailer.
It's known as the Chocolate Frog Massacre of 1998.
So, I think that it's probably bad form, at least in these earlier Bonds, to ask about the Bond girl, because the Bond girl's basically kind of there. They wouldn't pass the Bechdel test. I was thinking about that halfway through the movie. I'm like, certainly not.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't expect a Bond girl to pass that test. Like, there's a reason they're Bond girls. And I'm going to personally give my opinion based off that criteria, and so far, she's my favorite. So far.
Look, she is a great Bond girl. Absolutely, she is. They
yes, 100%.
almost brought up a thing in this. So they did a thing in the beginning of this movie that they wanted to continue throughout all of them, and I'm so glad they dropped it. Is they wanted the lady from the beginning, Sylvia Trench, she's the one from Dr. No. They wanted that to be Bond's long-term in Britain girlfriend. And that every movie would kind of begin with them on a date being interrupted by something that his work wanted them to do. I'm so glad they didn't continue that, because it's kind of an uncomfortable scene. I don't love that part where, like, they're in the middle of a date and work's calling and he's, like, not being great to her.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't great.
Sean Connery. So
Yeah, that's Sean Connery. The other part that made me like rubbed me the wrong way was he's like, she should have kept her mouth shut. Like,
Yes, yes. Oh.
I know, but that joke was hysterical with the context of what was on the building and what just happened. That was like the best thing. I know it's horrible, but it was so funny.
Man, I was trying to go the whole episode without doing the voice, and I
so
failed.
glad you brought it up. Though.
Yeah,
We got 2 impressions in one episode.
yeah. I got to find a third.
I mean, okay, so I think the only other thing I have on this movie is I think the ending is so funny. And this is just a personal Devin thing. When they're on the boat and they have their little like romantic time on the boat and he throws the tape off and then it says James Bond. I'm doing this, just flapping in the breeze, like waving goodbye.
No, he's waving by at the
I know,
like
but
he's waving by at the tape.
It is the weirdest wave. It goes on for way too long. Like, I can't picture that Sean Connery doing that.
It's because it's not his dominant hand. So it's either his dominant hand, or it's someone off camera who's doing it, like trying to kneel under the camera and like have their hand up like this, and they're trying to like wave in a weird way. Because if you look at how he goes down, if it's him, okay, the way that he like drops the tape and the way he's waving comes across as someone who's not coordinated with their hands.
Yeah.
But we know Sean Connery is, because he does his own stunts, so he has to be coordinated to be able to do that. So it has to be his non-dominant hand. And if it's not his non-dominant hand, it's someone on their back, on their stomach, on their side, under the camera doing it. And that's why it looks really stupid.
I mean, I don't know. I just think it's silly.
Yeah.
Sorry. I guess I kind of took that one.
So I learned something looking up stuff about this movie. They made it a video game in 2005.
What?
Yeah, for PlayStation 2.
I don't know why I wasn't given this, like, as a requirement.
I am going to Second and Charles after the show and seeing if I can get a copy.
Oh my gosh, you have to show, like, let us know how it is.
Oh, I could play it on the stream if I wanted.
Oh, you better, because I can't imagine this translates well to a video game, right? Like,
parts of it they couldn't legally translate into the video game. They had to change Spectre to a different organization because of a legal dispute from Thunderball. Guess what they changed Spectre to?
Spectra.
No.
Is it
Sphincter?
Smirsh? Do they make it Smirsh?
No. Octopus.
Octopussy. Love it.
Don't like it. No, thanks. That's gonna be a rough one to talk about, guys. We will get there, but that'll be a rough one.
No, it's not. At that point, we would have seen so much of this, of these movies, that it's just going to be a laugh fest all the way through that one. I remember that one pretty well.
Okay,
so
that's a good point.
That one's just a laugher.
Since we're coming to the end of this, I'll ask this now. Are we going to skip the ones that we've all seen? Because we've done Goldfinger on this show, haven't we? For the James Bond tribute.
Let's make sure we did. Let's double check.
Because I did that for a podcast. I think we did a Sean Connery tribute. I think that was in there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was in there.
Okay. Well, let's double check. I think we should skip the ones that we've all seen.
Okay.
Okay.
Because Devin, I have a suggestion for you. Not to steal from another podcast, but one of the things I did in research for today was I listened to the older podcast from like 10 years ago called James Bonding with Matt Myra and Matt Gordley. They went through and watched all of the James Bond movies. And it was weird because like I haven't heard that Nerdist intro for a podcast in years.
Oh, it's nostalgic.
And they were talking about Meltdown Comics, and Katie was producing. It's like, this is so weird. And like I know Matt Gorley from the Conan podcast. I know Matt Meyer from Nerdist, and like Jonah Ray was on there too. So it's like the only thing that's different is like Chris Hardwick's not there. But one of the things they did when they went through and watched all of them was they split it up and did recent, like alternated.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to change it up a bit, since we've all seen Goldfinger on the show before. If we wanted to do,
Copy that format.
Yeah.
I like that idea a lot because it breaks up enough. I like that. I think I'm gonna do that.
Oh, but I wanted to do. If we skip Goldfinger, we go right to Thunderball, and that's.
I mean, we could just go right to Thunderball.
I mean, Ryan is excited about Thunderball. I still have at least 2 more picks until another Bond comes up, so
Okay.
I have time.
Okay.
It's not going to be every Devin pick. It's going to come when you least expect it.
So something I want to throw out about this movie that
Yeah.
I love about one of the things I love about James Bond movies is James Bond's relations to cars.
Mm.
It's something that like it goes hand in hand, and like in Doctor No, he had that he had blue little British roadster that he drove. And in this was an oddball. I completely I legitly thought like I was waiting for the scene that he'd get his DB5. Was waiting for the Aston Martin to pull up. And like it didn't happen. And instead, all I get is a chauffeur going, "Oh yeah, it's Citroen today." I'm like, "Great." James Bond movie and all they talk about is a French-made POS.
Well, no, there was a line. There was a line. He says something like, "Oh, that's why you brought the Benz," right?
That's true.
He does bring
That's
that one
true.
up.
There was that. But I mean, yeah, but it was one of those things where it's like, again, I haven't seen these movies in forever, and I legit thought that you know, like when for how popular this movie was, I thought that the Aston Martin DB5 coincided with From Russia with Love, and I completely forget if it's in Goldfinger or not. But yeah, so that's something that kind of like
I think
I
I'm
was
gonna rewatch
expecting
Goldfinger.
and I didn't get.
Fun.
But yeah.
You know what else? What else also isn't in this movie that is a James Bond trope, and I don't know if you guys caught that it's in it or not. Is at one point, at no point in this movie does he ever say Bond, James Bond, never. And that's like one of the few movies he never says that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which like I feel like that should have been included, but apparently he says it in the book. But
Devin,
not-
have you read the books?
I have not. I am scared to read the books because in general, I've heard some select quotes from the books, and they're not good, and don't age well. And I don't want this franchise ruined for me. I read a couple of the books in the Brosnan era that I actually really, really enjoyed, and I think I read a Craig era book or two, but I haven't read anything original by Ian Fleming.
I'm looking to try to find the Sean Connery special that we did.
Why?
I'm trying to think
Okay,
about the
so-
one that we did because I think it was in that.
I
Devin, I
can't
have a
find
question
it.
for
Was
you.
that on our podcast or was that for Victims?
No, that was us.
Was it us?
Yeah. Do you have a question, Ryan?
Yeah, I figure since Alan's looking that up,
Uh-huh.
I wanted to ask you a question because I've got James Bond movies in order. I just Googled just to like because I've never really looked up the order before.
Yeah.
And the one movie on here, the one thing I know about the James Bond movies for like trivia, I Google worked it in. Never Say Never Again. That's not technically a James Bond movie.
Yeah, that was.
And they
during
have
the-
it listed in order between Octopussy and of A View to a Kill.
That was because they were fighting for the rights with this one at this time as well.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
like
it's interesting that Google adds that one. I mean, it
add
was
that one
Connery.
into the mix.
Okay, so
yeah,
I found.
no, it was Connery, but it wasn't a James Bond movie technically.
So yeah, it's a different studio did that one, and it's a different continuity, but it's still
Yeah.
Sean Connery. And it's the same plot as what is it, Thunderball?
Oh, is it the same plot as Thunderball?
No, Moonraker. It's Moonraker.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So we did not do Goldfinger on this podcast. We did. I think I
Okay.
did it for Victims and Villains. We
Got
did.
it,
We
okay.
did. We did the Untouchables, The Hunt for Red October, and The Rock.
I remembered the Rock was the one that I remembered from
Yeah.
that episode.
Because winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Anything else about From Russia with Love?
I don't think so.
I mean,
yeah.
as long as the U.S. military industrial complex needs a villain, James Bond movies are always going to be relevant.
I mean, that's fair. That's very fair.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's there's so much I could talk about this movie. Additionally, I think that something that never sat right with me that just I think gets worse and worse and worse is James's relationship to Moneypenny. I know that in every movie there's just gonna be like 3 minutes of cringe while he like interacts with Moneypenny, and then we move on with our lives.
Well, it's James Bond does not want to ruin a workplace relationship because that means more to him than anything else. I'm trying to make it better. I'm trying to make it better.
You're trying so hard. You're trying so hard. I mean, I get it. It was like a different era, different kind of thing. Like, but
yeah, it's just
they were like touching faces in this one. Like,
oh yeah. To be honest, when her fake eyelashes were like touching his like cheek, I was like, I was like imagining what that like actually feels like, and I just like. It's like an insect crawling on your face. Like
made your cheek itch.
I think that I got nothing else. So
okay.
let's talk about the next episode because I believe it's my pick next. Mm-hmm. My schedule's about to get weird, guys. So I don't think I can do a show next week. Do you guys want to do a show without me?
Yeah.
We can think of something.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll think of something.
You guys can do something without me next week. My next pick, I haven't done this in a while, but I'm also doing this for selfish reasons because I don't want to have to do a podcast twice. I'll have to run this by my other co-host, but how about for the next one, Deadpool and Wolverine?
Oh, I think that would be fun. We have
Ryan,
to go to the
I think
work,
I can make that work.
I got to do it.
Because I feel like
I think I can make that work.
I feel like the four of us will have a good conversation about that. I need to figure out when I'm going to watch the 3 Logan movies to like the Wolverine movies before that for Brilliant but Lazy. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Let's do Deadpool and Wolverine for my next pick. Because I don't think what I had planned is going to work out, just time wise. But you guys will figure out something for next week.
Got it.
Until then, you can subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're still working on the backlog, which I'm hoping to get ready back up before the end of the month. Get caught up. So I'll probably work on that a bit tonight. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can check out all of our videos of our episodes there. Get caught up on the live streams there because they're live there. It's just not in the podcast. And then subscribe to our Twitch. Maybe I'll start playing from Russia with Love on PlayStation.
So fun.
Yeah. Once I get my game room set up, like that might be a possibility. So, yeah. But until next time, for you have to watch this. Sorry. Until next time, for you have to watch this podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
Let's fucking go.